We're back. We're back to working on a 1971 C-10 in Spanish gold. Yeah, the old Cheyenne. What have I done now? I can't help myself. We got the front part done pretty good. Now let's work on the back part. See if we can get it pretty good. Resto mod, not a restoration. Hey, got my gloves on. I'm ready to do some work. Are you guys ready to do a little work? We got a lot going on here. Where do I start? Well, let me take you around and show you. Well, let's start right here. Somebody has had the box off this already and has done some work on it. Not all of it's to my satisfaction, but it's pretty good. We're going to take you up, start right at the back of the cab. Somebody built the trailing arms themselves out of square tubing, which is nice. It gives it a little more rigid rather than being so flexible. But then you have to put Heim's joints on it, which is fine. That works well. He did a decent job of it. But I noticed here on this, you see that? Yeah, that hanger bearing. I laugh when people say that, but anyhow, it's shot. Needs a new one. I'm going to check the U-joints when I pull the drive shaft out. Whoever put this lowering kit in, yeah, I see we got a little leaky pinion seal too. Might as well replace that. When they put in the C-notch kit, they use these wedges. Let's see if I can get you in there and show you what they did. They're aluminum, which when you put aluminum next to steel, it tends to have some galvanic corrosion, but I'm not too worried about it. I'll probably take them apart again and put some rubber in there. But these aluminum wedges, there, you can see them there, are to change the, I don't know how you word this, the pitch of the rear end. I think it's pinion angle. And I don't know if this pinion angle is 3 degrees, which is what you ideally want. Now I know it's 3 degrees from the transmission to the rear end, but when you got a carrier bearing, is it the same? Does it still need 3 degrees? 3 degrees from the train to the carrier? 3 degrees from the carrier to the rear end? I don't really know. But this looks like, I don't know, maybe 1 degree. And I don't have my degree finder because it's on loan. No big deal. We'll get that out of there. We'll check all the U-joints, fix this seal, get a new carrier bearing. So that's one thing that's going to happen. Clean up the rear end of this cab and sand everything down and get it painted like the 68. You guys have seen that before. It's all painted tip, top, bottom, underneath, inside, out. We're going to do that to this one too. But let's look at the cobbleness. I don't know. So look, evidently the frame was getting pretty thin in here. So somebody had, well, the previous owner, when he started his resto mod, he welded in some plates. It's not bad. It's just a little boogery on this spot, but it's welded good in that spot and welded all right in that spot. But you see, he didn't clean up the corners and stuff. So I'll get all that cleaned up. I'm going to put a backing plate on this particular spot just because it's the upright part that gives you your strength. The folds, not so much. This other side has one. Oh, we can get around there. It's got a inside support that's all bolted through. I put new bolts on it. And then you got these mounts for the box. And they had some rust jacking going on underneath those pretty good. So I'm going to get that all cleaned out of there with a needle scaler and beat it back down flat. This one's not too bad. It looks like it's got a touch of, a little bit of rust there. But I got it cleaned up. I don't think it's too thin. The other side, although, it isn't in such good shape. So that'll have to be probably removed, welded up, cleaned up, and put back on, which kind of sucks because they're rivets. Not ribbit, but rivet. Okay, now on to some more patchwork. Again, must have been a thin spot here in the frame, so he put a large plate over the top of it. And this is a C-notch kit here, so not bad. His welds are not as pretty as you'd like, but I think they're going to hold. The C-notch kit, he did not drill the holes and bolt through. People don't enjoy doing that. This side I will probably do, but he did weld it in pretty darn good, inside and out. I'll show you the inside. So he's got it welded up pretty good. You can see right there. His welds were probably better on this C-notch part than the rest. The other side, not quite as pretty. And we'll get to more. So the front part here of the C-notch is welded in nicely. I'm pretty happy with that. He welded it all the way around. This side's got a bit of a gap, but we have to deal with this thing anyway. Well, I got my wire in the way. So you can see here, whatever, I got some weld wire sticking through the holes. This is supposed to be bolted all the way through the C-notch kit, the frame, and then this triangle piece. Well, that triangle piece is rusted pretty good, so I'll cut that the rest of the way out, put in a new gusset, weld it all the way around. I might drill these through and put bolts, but it depends on how much he's got them welded. Sometimes it'll break drill bits. Maybe I'll just weld it on top. It'll be permanent. Nobody's going to be taking it apart anyway. Then we're going to put in a new, let's see, these are drag links here. So these are called adjustable, I forget all these names. The thing that keeps the rear end straight, track bar. I purchased a new one of them, adjustable so that when you lower the truck, you can get it aligned properly and it won't dog track. So we'll work on that in just a minute. And then we need to pull all these plastic brake lines out I've talked about before. They really do work well, but that's not legal, and it's probably not safe. If one got hot, it would melt and you'd lose your brakes. Surprised that works, but it does. Pull all that out and put the rest of our stainless steel brake lines in. I did wire loom all the wires under here. I'll tuck them up under once I get everything painted good, because I want to paint behind the wire. Then, so much. Then you got these bumper brackets on here with, these are just fillers. So when you're looking at the back of the truck, you can't see behind the bumper. But I'll take these fillers off and the bumper brackets, the bolts, the nuts more importantly than the bolts. That's pretty dark in there, you can't see. The heads of the nuts, you can't even put a wrench on them. They're just rotted really bad. Now replacing those is most important at this point because you can get to them easy, you can cut them off. When you put the truck back together, you're able to adjust the bumper easily without being underneath here trying to torch it and all that at that point. So moving right along, here's the bed. It's in pretty good shape. This obviously is, the visual side, the top side, if you will. Not a lot of rust holes. Actually, no rust holes in it. But somebody drilled a few holes here for something. I'll have to weld those in and get them fixed. What I'm working on now with the box, I'm going to take you around to the bottom side of this thing. I don't know what happened here. Can't even begin to figure it out. But something just tore this or cut this. So that needs to be welded up. It's got some really huge booger welds on it. It just globs. So I'll grind all those out, clean up this edge. It'll need some touch-up paint. You see some holes down here need welded up. This will all get undercoated, the whole thing. It's going to be a lot of undercoating. I go in and out of everywhere. I make sure the undercoating is sprayed down inside each one of these little holes. This is like your cross frame for the bed. And I'll spray inside of each one of these so you don't rust. The inner fenders, the inner fenders are not too beat up. I found a few dents in them. I've already hammered those out. They're in pretty good shape. This side's a lot better than the other side. Well, you can't see in there. Dark. Everything's dark. I got a million lights in here and I need to upgrade some more. But these, I never did figure this out. They painted the outer, whatever color the vehicle is. And then these inners are always, well, I'll call it black, but it's kind of gray. And then they spot weld, or they weld in spots. I don't know if it's really a spot weld. It looks like just a wire weld, but they didn't have wire welders back then. So these are welded all through here. I don't know if that burnt the paint off originally. I never did see this part of a brand new truck. So I think we'll just paint the inside of this again. not getting to the outside of the truck. I'm not trying to do a full restoration body work here. And then something else to point out, these fender supports were not on the truck when I got it. They're very important. People think, well, it's not a big deal. You don't really need them. Well, you do. Because as you drive the truck and you hit bumps and you bounce around, this part begins to be a flex area. This fender will wobble forward and backwards, to and fro, and eventually it'll crack it. So we'll weld the inside of that as well. I won't monkey with the outside, but a good weld through here, and the supports on there now should hold it. The biggest issue we have, and I've already fixed this section, that's not done, completely done, but I've got it pretty straight. I'll show you from the side angle. This had been, I don't know, somebody dropped a motor in here or something, and it was just bent way out. Had a whole bunch of dents in it, and I worked it. But to show you what I'm talking about, the next section, look right along here. You see the bulge in the middle there? This is, somebody dropped something pretty heavy in here and has bent this out. You can kind of see it. I'll come from the top view. You really can't tell on camera, but it's pretty bad. That'll help a little better over here, won't it? See those dents? That's all got to be hammered out. Now, it's not as tough as you might think, because the ribbing, the high spots and the low spots, which on the other side, this would be a high spot and this would be a low spot. Those wrinkles, those bends stretch. You shouldn't call them stretched. They unfold and make this kind of flat. So the metal isn't stretched as much as you think. If you can hammer that crease back in on both sides, you can get it pretty flat. The only stretching you get is in this direction. Anyway, it can be worked pretty good. It's not a terrible time, but it is super loud. I mean, just taking my finger on it. You need like earplugs and earmuffs, both. This is loud to hammer on. Now, if somebody drops something really hard here, and I won't hammer that back because that'll be stretched quite a bit. It'll look bad. I'll just weld on the other side and fill in those dents, so it'll be extra thick. It won't hurt anything. Do a little body work. Now, behind these supports on the top side, it has some dents, and you really can't do much with them because they're blind. So those will have to be body worked. I try to do as little of that as possible. But here's another dent right here you can see, and I'll hammer those out. I'll get them pretty good. I mean, for the most part, I don't know if you can see. These are pretty good. Then it all needs sanded and cleaned up before undercoated. There's more. There, that's a good angle. You can see all them dents right in there. I haven't touched those. All those have to be hammered out. There's quite a few of them. And then you'll find that between the next sections, it gets dark down here. I'll get light when I'm working on it. But each of these sections will have some dents in them from people using these trucks, and I'll be using them. That's pretty much all I can show you down here. Lots of work to do underneath this. Undercoating will take a full day. This body work will take 2 or 3 days. I already got a good hour into this section right up here already. This one's going to take another hour, and then all the little ones are going to take time, lots of time. Onto this side of the truck, we got another patch I'm not fond of right here on the frame. Again, I'll clean it up, check it out, make sure the welds are good. It'll be fine. Nobody notices it. It's strong. That's all that really matters. It's a 51-year-old truck. So that's another little issue. So let's get you back on a tripod. We'll start pulling these lines out. We'll get this adjustable track bar out of here. Maybe get the new one in. If I think of something else, I'll point it out to you. So let's jump over there and jump cut number, I don't know, 2, 3. Get these clear zip ties out that aren't worth a hoot. He bought the heavy ones, so they'll hold a little better. Wasn't like there's any sun getting under here, but nonetheless, we don't mind. It worked for him. It ain't gonna work for us. You know, I should have showed you. I'm not doing it today. If you cut these right on the end, you get a real nice zip tie. You want to save it. you can cut it right under, I kind of ruined this one, right under the zip tie, pull this out, and you can reuse the rest of the zip tie if you ever wanted to. Yeah, I'm an old guy, I'm cheap. Try to save everything I can every time I can. Oh, sure, that's got brake fluid in it. Why wouldn't it? See, we'll save this even. Make a bigger brake fluid mess. I wonder if we can pull the rest of that out. I bet we can. Yep, how did I know? Because you're watching. That's why. No, it probably wouldn't have anyway. Yeah, we'll cut it off and clean it up more later. Yep, I said it later. Always something for later. Look at the brake fluid I got. What a mess. That's done. What now? What now? Well, I'm not doing any grinding because that's loud. I'm not beating on that box because that's loud. Not doing any welding because that stinks, and I'm in here in an air conditioned shop I don't want. Open my doors. We have to get this thing out of here. I don't have any pliers, but these will work. Perfect pliers. I think it's pretty weak anyway. That thing I showed you. It's just, I'm gonna cut it out later anyway. I said later again. Maybe I would do the whole thing later. I want to see under there. It's bothering me. I said it. It's bothering me. Probably not bothering you. That's a pretty tough piece of metal, as thin as it is. I'm not stopping. I'm going to do it till it broke. You guys just stand there and watch. I'll keep doing it. Holy, are you kidding me already? Alright, sometimes you just give up on stuff that don't matter. Let's get this track bar off. Now, I pulled the bolts already because they can be difficult. I didn't have much trouble with the axle one, but this outer one that goes in the mount, those are really tough. They get a lot more water on them. I don't cut them because it's a lot of work and they don't come out real good anyway. But just keep working on them, spinning them, hitting them with an air hammer. They'll come loose. I'm going to grab my other track bar. This is the adjustable track bar. You can, when they're attached, one's right hand, one's left hand. Of course, they set them backwards. And then they got the lock nuts on them. So we'll get that in there so we can get a proper alignment when we're done. Now run on the other side. Probably the voyage tour with this truck will be to the alignment shop. Let's see if we can. That's gonna come right out of there. I haven't got it out of there. I didn't do it before you guys, but I probably should have, right? I got a hammer. Ball peen. Alright, what's yours? Perfect. We're gonna get it out. Hang on. Get out of there. More noise. There she is. Now I'm going to say that you can buy like a rebuild kit for it, and it does seem straight. It looks really straight. I don't know when I'll ever use it, but I don't know. Maybe on my C-20, if that one ever goes bad. I have one that I rebuild on the shelf. That one's all stock, so it'll work well with the stock one. Alright, let's see, is there a problem putting this in? You gotta think things through. It's not gonna be in the way. It can come right back loose. I'm painting anyway. Alright, that should be fine. I don't believe there's a left and a right as far as which end goes where. So we'll just put her in there. So when I took the old one out, these are the old bolts, in good shape bolt. I destroyed the nuts. I got this hardened John Deere one. We got John Deere parts on our C-10. Is that okay? Is that allowed? I guess it's ours. We can do whatever we want. Let's see how easy this goes. Alright, bolt forward. It doesn't matter. I'm going to put it back in the way I took it apart. That was loud. I forgot my lock washer. Get it in a minute. Get it later. You gotta love it. I won't forget. But I want to adjust this. Great. I was doing so good. I only had like 1 or 2 jump cuts. Now I had to add a third one. Not that I'm counting, you guys are the ones supposed to be counting, I'm not counting. Well, I don't know why that came so long. Not wrong, I guess, just long. Well, that's not fun to do on camera. That's all right, we're not ready to put it on yet anyway. I'm going to be finicky. I'm going to want the threads to be the same length on both ends. It's probably not necessary. See, if I'd done this off camera, you guys wouldn't have to wait. I could jump cut it. I'll bet you guys don't. I'm going to try it. You won't even see it. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. There, could you tell? I bet you didn't even notice. Alright, we got her on there. I don't know which way to push or pull it. Right, I'll put a little tension that way. It worked pretty well. We'll snug those down before the alignment, just to make sure it don't go anywhere down the road. Lefty loosey upside down on a left-hand thread. Just spin it until it gets tight. Alright, we need a lock washer there. A lock washer there. I'll get those off camera, that's done. Track bar looks a little beefier. Looking straight down on it. Alright, we have to think this through. Just so you don't have trouble when you do yours. The adjustable track bar goes on the original mounts. Now there's quite a decent bolt on the rear end. And by looking straight down on it, oh, I'd be close. If this goes, if you hit a big enough bump or have a big enough load on it, it might, just might, hit the rear end differential cover. So what I'm going to do to alleviate that problem, I don't think it's going to. You can just put a washer or two on this end. It's not that imperative, it's a tubular angle. Pull it out a washer or two and that'll give you plenty of clearance for that. A little more than what they had, but that's going to work just fine. You might have noticed, because you guys know me, I usually put my anti-seize on there, i.e. leftover grease. I will. I'll slide that in and out a few times, lube that up good. I also noticed that I need a breather tube for my differential. I'll grab one of those. Well, that's pretty much what I got going on. I don't know if I mentioned the front crossover. I've got to cut it out for the exhaust like I did on the 68. That's in an older video. That's some torch work and then weld them back in. That's a little bit of work, but it really makes for good clearance for the exhaust and everything, so it's got to be done. This one I think I've already talked to you about. It's going to have cutouts before the crossover, and then I'll have mufflers behind it somewhere in this area. Could put them at the very back, but the farther upstream you put them, the quieter it is at the end. And I'm trying to make this a quiet truck when you're driving it, where you can just hear the exhaust a little bit, but not loud. So I would prefer to put them up here. I'm going to have to sneak through here. This will be fun. When I do this, I'll bring you back on this part. Between the notch kit on the top of the frame, you don't have enough distance to put your exhaust loop. But if I remember right, there is another, I'm gonna say 3/4 of an inch of gap between the bottom of the box and the frame. So you in essence, oh, I'm taking it, yeah dude, got tape measures everywhere, what am I thinking? Yep, Sean, I got them everywhere. Once I get that extra inch, I think I got a 3/4. It's gonna put me in a 3-inch gap from the bed to the top of this. I got a good 3 inches in there, and I'm not running 3-inch exhaust, I don't think. 2 7/8, I believe. But we'll call 3 inches to give it a little room. So I can get a 3-inch U over the top of this, and it shouldn't hit anywhere. Gonna be tight fit, and I have to put a couple extra hangers to keep that exhaust in the right place so it doesn't bang or rattle on something that's irritating. We'll sneak them through there. They're gonna come over here, and this one, I gotta remember which way the track bar. I think it goes underneath the track bar, and then you gotta, so you go up and over, then you go back up and under, up and over, up and under, up and over, and down and under. That's it. So there's a lot of angles going on this side. The opposite side is not quite so bad. You just have to come through and make your regular loop and then straighten it out. There's nothing in the way. The track bar only covers that side. You got way more room over here. I believe I'm gonna go out each side, kind of traditional. And it'll be quiet when the wife drives here if we're just tooling around town or going to car shows or whatever. And then the cutouts if I want to make it sound hot rodish. All right, well you see what all work I got to do this week. Don't know what all I'll get done, but it's coming. We're getting, we started from tip to tail. We're getting close to the tail. Won't be that long now. Well, for you it'll be as short as you want to keep watching videos. For me, another week or two here and a week or two there. So I dropped that. What else have I got to show you? I didn't show you this. Just take a second. The overspray here, and then this is where I'm going to put in my cutouts for the exhaust. I hadn't mentioned that to you yet, but this will all get cleaned up. This is just some undercoating tar. I might scrub this down. I don't know where I'm going to do my tar line. You can't see it, and I want it undercoated. I'll probably come right up off of these and undercoat around to the other side, because there's some splash comes up between these and rust out sometimes. Wow, that's a lot to cover. I'll bring it back on a couple different pieces as we do them, but for now, oh gracious, it about fell off here. For now, that's all you get. That's not comfortable where I'm sitting either. Folks, thanks for watching. I hope you were entertained. We got plenty to show you in the future. One step at a time is all I can tell you. It's a lot of fun for me. We're going to get this cleaned up and painted and get that stuff touched up. I can't wait till next week where I can show you a little bit of my progress. It's a little overwhelming right now, but it's not that bad. It's actually kind of fun. Well, if you don't have a project, get one. Get something you can afford. Get it at the point in the project where you can work on it and finish it yourself. You'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. All right, that's it for this week. We'll see you guys again soon. Watch this. You're going to love this. I'm going to turn it off now.